I'd love to see a pocket watch. Like, I don't know if I've seen that. That's maybe like a digital pocket watch.
A smart pocket watch?
Smart, right, exactly. Welcome to I Like Batteries, the show where we explore the world of batteries. I'm Mike Muldoon.
And I'm Jeff Lynch. Good evening, Mike.
Good evening, Jeff Lynch. And happy St. Patrick's Day.
Happy St. Patty's Day.
Yes, exactly. You know, it's a very day. Clearly, I've got my green on here and for our listeners. That. So, and we like green because that, you know what that usually means in the world
fully
of batteries?
Charged.
It means fully charged. So we like that. Yeah, I mean that's good. But Jeff, you know what's even better about being fully charged? It's about batteries in Ireland.
This story couldn't have come at a better time.
It could not have come at a better time, Jeff. I mean, this is a great story about Ireland and the fact that Ireland has some better battery storage, that of 150 megawatt hours of storage. That I believe it's their largest batteries, that largest to date, I should say. Is that correct?
To date, yes.
Yeah.
And this is really for grid stability, but it's delivering renewable energy on Ireland's power network. In the form of a BESS, BESS, which we've talked about before, but it is a battery energy stationary storage. Yeah. Yep. So basically, it's not moving. Just so people know, this is not in a car. No, the ions are moving, but the physical thing is not. The battery's not moving.
I hope they're always moving. Yeah, but this is super cool, and they have Ireland has some climate targets for 2030, and this is helping them get to that net zero state that they want to be. But I mean, that's a fair amount. 150 megawatt hour battery is big, and we kind of have a picture of this that we're taking a look at. So it's multiple batteries that are put together. So it says the project has been operational since late November 2023. Previously, it was able to give the capability of 75 megawatts of energy for 2 hours of Ireland's electricity system. So I'm assuming that means that it could literally be able to power all of Ireland for 2 hours?
For 2 hours? That's amazing, if true.
That sounds awesome. But I mean, I'm not 100% sure with that, but if it could do that, you would hope they get the grid back going at that point, right?
You would hope in that amount of time, sure.
Yeah, but this is super cool. So congratulations to Ireland. Clearly happy St. Patrick's Day for that, and great job getting us some better battery storage on deck with that. So that's super cool. We like that. The one thing I didn't see in the article, I'm going to make an assumption here that this is probably going to be a lithium iron phosphate battery. You would think if they wanted to have this, but I didn't see any specs actually on the battery itself.
Didn't see that, but you can check out energystorageireland.com, and we just came across this ourselves, so maybe there's more information there that we could dig into and share in a future episode.
But given that we are a battery show, given the fact that we clearly are recording on St. Patrick's Day, this seemed like the article that we wanted to use. Jeff, as a kind of segue, which I often do for some of these, do you
segue on a segue? You're not riding your segue.
No, I'm not riding a segue. Segway's in the garage. It's not actually charging right now. It's at a good charge state, so I didn't have to have it charged.
Okay,
I like to keep it about 80%, like we say. But I'm betting they have some AI in Ireland.
Oh, they've got AI everywhere now.
Well, you kind of have to. It's all over, right? It's not like they don't have it there. But and we're talking about the fact that one of the things to look at, and I hadn't started thinking about this until lately, as AI clearly starts to become more and more, I guess I call it mainstream, is clearly AI is computers, correct? And computers need electricity. So far, so good?
I'm with you. Yeah.
Okay. So the thing I was thinking about is how much electricity really does AI have to use? And it depends how many computers you've got going on. But I did find some interesting information that says training a large language model like ChatGPT, for example, is estimated to use about 130 megawatt hours of electricity. No. I'm sorry. Whoa, I forgot a zero.
You're off by a small factor there.
1,300 megawatt hours of electricity And that's about as much power as consumed annually by 130 U.S. homes. So I just want folks to kind of think about this. Obviously, we're progressing. We're doing a lot of things out there. But the demand on the grid, and I don't think people are kind of thinking about this. Here we go, coming into a summer season. We're probably coming out of winter here. We're in March.
We're hoping, yes.
Yeah.
At least in New England, we're hoping.
At least in New England, sure. But that's going to put some strains on there. And I like how what this article did. It says to put that in context, streaming an hour of Netflix requires 0.8 kilowatt hours of electricity.
That is 0.0008 megawatt hours.
Yeah. So as we start to, and this does make sense, but I don't think a lot of folks are grasping this. And I started to think about it, and then in pre-show, Jeff and I were talking. I said, well, as we become more reliant on AI to do a lot of things, I'm going to make an assumption here that AI is going to be doing some work on the grid, and clearly the grid goes down. We have storms. We have all these other types of things happening. My guess is AI is probably going to prioritize AI in terms of making sure that when the grid comes back up, that it's getting the power
one of the
that
first
it needs.
things up. Yeah.
So this is why I mean we're fans of batteries, clearly, but we're also fans of things like, hey, your nice EcoFlow, your pale blue batteries, all these other things, because I have a feeling you may want to have some of these things available in case your power doesn't come up in a timely manner. And I do not believe, and this is my own personal opinion, I have no data to back this up, I don't know if our grid was ready for this advancement of AI in order to be able to have the right power needs that are there, on top of the fact of all of the electric vehicles that are coming out too. So it's kind of
we thought EVs were bad.
Yeah. So I think this is just something like big picture stuff. And this is the first time we talked about this on the show, but it kind of came to light in a discussion that I had at work. And I guess I really didn't think about this. And then when I started doing some research and thinking about it, it's like, I think we need to think about this, because we're going to need a lot more power than we have available right now. And the thing is, if we look at how much is being used, and the other factor, and I don't know when we look at this, and in future episodes I want to dive a little bit deeper here, is this just the power, when we say this, that the machines are using in order to be able to run the computational analysis? Or is this like all in? And what I mean by all in is clearly these machines are producing heat. We fair with this?
Oh, yes.
Right. So they need to be cooled, because if they overheat, bad things happen.
Yes.
Right. Mm-hmm. So is this like an all in, or is this like, hey, that's just to run the machine, that's not to cool the machines?
Yeah.
Down?
Good question. Because I mean, obviously there's the basic data center cooling situation that has to happen, which requires even more electricity.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think I think some of the assumptions in these numbers that we've seen so far also are relative to the training of large language models for the AI, which means that and these are often run on GPUs, so graphics processing units, right? So they're very tuned pieces of hardware that run all of these computations very quickly. They're running it full on, right? They're just sucking data in. So they're maxed out, sort of from think of like 100% utilization, or as close to 100% as they get, versus normal internet traffic, which might have fluctuations. They'll be intense for a half a second, and then usage drops off. Once that model is trained and the AI is just using the results, is a much less intensive operation than training the model in the first place.
Yeah, no, completely agreed. Now, I think I did see another article that was there that did a great job of kind of giving the I don't say the counter to this, but saying like, hey, technically once these things get trained, they may use less than certain things that we're doing right now. So I completely agreed. But I think we're in this, we're definitely in an interesting phase, right? Because I don't think all the models have learned as much as they can. I don't think, as I said, if we look at grid attached storage systems, what people have, if we look at EVs, we're having a lot of electricity come online. And I just think one or two major storms that knock this out, we're going to have some issues, with things getting back up and running and or brownouts. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm very interested. We get some super hot days in certain areas. What's going to happen? So I just think this is interesting to look at. And clearly these are the type of conversations that we have on the show. And we like to have our little battery backups to be able to do some things. I've actually done really well. I've been powering my own EcoFlow River 2. It's at 55%. So I've almost charged up.
Oh, with the bike?
With the bike on my own. Yeah. So I'm very excited about that. So, but the interesting part is there's bikes, and we use bikes, but are you familiar with that buses can run off electricity too, Jeff?
Yes, because we've mentioned this on the show.
We have mentioned it on the show, but Massachusetts, there seems to be another municipality that's adding some buses.
It is, and if you're from out of town, it's pronounced Worcester.
It is Worcester, not Worcester. Just to be clear,
right? Because that's how it's spelled.
It is, but Worcester, Massachusetts, is received a $5.8 million to buy 15 electric school buses. So that's from the headline of the article.
From the DEP, by the way.
Correct, but those are expensive buses. Like, although I don't really know what a school bus costs, but I was very happy to see that they were going to be electric school buses.
The article says it's $400,000 a bus.
Yeah, like, I don't know what. I love it because we like batteries, so we love this fact. But I don't know what an ICE bus runs.
130, according to the article.
Yeah,
but that's the acquisition cost, right? And what we're talking about is the running cost.
Well, agreed. So, and here's the things, and here's why I think these make sense. And let me just say, is because the fact is most buses are completely stop and go all the time, right?
Oh yeah.
So much of what they do. So
that's their job.
The brakes go on these things super quick, right? The fact is the torque that's required to get this to get it to start up and slow down is going to increase how much gas is used. Electric buses are great for this. The regenerative braking that's required to be able to be used, I'm sure, is amazing. And the fact that you're not going to run through brakes as quick because of that regenerative braking. And the other factor is, as we said about summer, and we saw this with Beverly, Massachusetts, who had some buses, is that when they're not as active in the summertime, you can use them as storage for your grid. I mean, I think it's win-win, personally.
It's totally win-win. And so the other two things that I thought of, one of which is mentioned in the article, is that the running cost of the electric buses is estimated in roughly 20 cents a mile, we'll call it.
Yeah.
Whereas the ICE buses are at least $1 a mile.
Right.
Right. And how far are these buses actually traveling?
Right.
Right? Completely. Like what is their route? How long is their route? And what is their range requirement? And that is unknown at the moment. But this is we love to see this because this is where using electric vehicles as they were intended essentially is amazing to see.
And I think you hit the nail on the head. The fact that essentially it's 1/5 of the cost to run it, yet. Right. It's not 1/5 of the cost, or it's not 5 times more expensive.
Correct. Right.
So you're going to come out ahead, I think, in the long run. I think also the piece to look at is that, and we talked about this from EVs from a standpoint too, I'm sure when they're sitting in the yard, they're just charging these up. So they're ready to go fully charged when they leave the yard versus let's say somebody forgets to fill it up and you get going in the morning. And I'm sure that these buses are smart enough, being that they're in Worcester, that what will happen is that they're going to warm those buses up before the bus driver has to come and take it out.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because there's nothing worse in the wintertime than having a bus where a bunch of kids get on and they're freezing cold.
Oh, we've all been there. Well, because, maybe not all of us, but some of us have been there.
Yeah, but the big thing is you want to make sure that these kids get to school on time, right? I mean, that's a really important thing. And you know what's a great thing to use to stay on time?
There's a number of things I can think of, but most of them live on our wrists.
So I was going to say it's a watch. Although, I'd love to see a pocket watch. Like, I don't know if I've seen that. That's maybe like a digital pocket watch.
A smart pocket watch?
Smart, right, exactly. But really what we're talking about is I guess I call it a smartwatch, although I think that's essentially most watches out there. But it's digital and it's smart. And I have not familiar with this brand's Suunto. Is that
Suunto?
Suunto? Suunto. So if you go to suunto.com, I believe it's a Finnish company. Am I correct? Although it's made in Finland, so I'm going to assume it's a Finnish
I'm going to assume it's Finnish. Yeah.
And what we're talking about is the Suunto Vertical Titanium Solar Canyon. And the reason we're talking about this on a show that is about batteries is because this digital smartwatch has quite a battery. According to the article and on their website, you can have this for 60 days, Jeff.
Yes, without charging it. But
I'm going to throw something else out there. If you needed to, the face of the watch can charge the watch via solar. How awesome is this?
This is very cool. We really like this idea. Yeah.
This is so cool.
And they're pretty cheeky about some of their comparisons. Where
I wonder what watch they're comparing.
They're comparing to. Because they talk about sort of like the leading comparative watch, and they just happen to be in the same price point as the Apple Watch Ultra. But they're claiming obviously many times greater battery life than
right. We should say how much this is though. I mean, for sure. I mean, it's $839, which is not cheap in terms of a watch. I mean,
it's not cheap in terms of like normal watches, but if you're into watches, this is not very expensive. Like as far as like what you could spend on a watch.
Absolutely. It's kind of a big watch though.
It is. How big it is? We'll have to tell
round. Our listeners how big it is because obviously they can't see it.
Yeah. So it's a round faced watch, unlike the Apple Watch or the Apple Watch Ultra, which is rectangular. It's almost 2 inches across, edge to edge.
Yeah.
So hold out your favorite measuring device on your wrist and see how big that's going to be on your wrist.
But you can see it. When you're
no problem seeing this
on it,
from
there's
space.
No problem seeing this. Yeah, no. Well, the other neat feature. So let's talk about this. What has outdoor offline maps. So you can actually essentially cache the maps there. Now it says dual band GPS and GNSS. Now I'm familiar with GPS, but I'm not familiar with GNSS.
I am not either, but we're going to find out.
But it has
it. Global Navigation Satellite System.
Oh, okay. There we go. And it says, here's the other part. They say it's made in Finland with renewable energy. So they're making these from a green sense as well. So that's super cool. But the sheer fact that this has a battery that's able to last 60 days is pretty amazing. Because
that's pretty efficient. Yeah.
I mean, how long do you get out of your Apple Watch at best?
Not even a full day, because I'm on a Series 5 that I bought, I don't know how, 4 or 5 years ago.
Right. So if I charge full, and if I'm to full, I'll get a full day on a 6. I have a Series 6, but still, I don't. But this is 60 days. So I mean, like, it's like not even like it's not even orders of magnitude with this. The other interesting part is the weather forecast that it has, barometer and altimeter, storm, sunset, and sunrise alarms. That's kind of a neat thing. But it looks like, according to this, you can put them in different
different modes.
Battery modes. Yeah, and this was kind of cool. So it looks like it has a performance mode that gets you 60 hours, which is still pretty awesome. I mean, if I get multiple days, that's awesome. It has another mode that is endurance for 90, an ultra that gets you 140, and then obviously you can put this up to something where you can get multiple days in there. It says touring that I think is 500 hours. So I'm sure it just bases upon the GPS accuracy, but it's a plus 30% with solar charging too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the cool part. Like you just really get that extra boost.
Yeah. So if you're somebody who's into watches, if you're somebody who's into being outdoors on a regular basis, maybe and you don't have that. Now, personally, I would say our friends at Pale Blue make an outstanding solar panel. I've been using it quite a bit. What I will say about their solar panel, Jeff, that I've noticed, because obviously I did some preliminary testing, but then I've been using it more on a regular basis. It does really, really well in kind of muted solar conditions of semi-cloudy skies. Like I get a fairly good output. Good. Mm-hmm. And I like the fact that it's very waterproof. I've actually left it outside in the rain to just test it.
Nice.
Well, because they have a little seal on the back for the USB ports. So if you did leave it out there, you're not going to get water into the ports. The other piece is I like how it folds up and you can snap it together. It actually has that ability to do that. So the other alternative is if you don't want to, fork out the money for something like this, you could always bring your charger of choice. Ours happens to be an Apple Watch, and take a solar panel and be able to charge off the USB. So
sure.
That's another option. So, I mean, if you are going outdoors and for a long time, you could be able to use this. Although it is the first one that I am aware of. Now, there may be others that has built-in solar charging in the watch, like as part of it. And, and there was rumor mill at a time that Apple was going to do something like this.
And maybe they still are. Who knows?
And maybe they still are. But this one is already doing it. In terms of things. And we said just weight-wise, too. I think we talked size, but I don't know weight. It's 74 grams or 2.61 ounces. I'm not sure how that compares to the Apple Watch. So, by the way, it is manufactured in Finland. That's true.
Well, let's find out. Apple Watch Ultra 2 is 61 grams.
Okay, so that's not that much difference.
No,
I mean, clearly it's. My math is 13. Is my math right?
What's that?
My math was right. 13.
Yes, you're good.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Good. Just check. Yeah. Well, I like you to check my math. There's sometimes off with things, but so definitely a cool watch. It's battery powered and different things, and I think that's something awesome. So if you're looking for something like that and you want to keep it fully charged. And I would say you could probably keep this to 80% just using the watch itself, Jeff.
I know with the solar. I have a cable water story for you.
Okay, you're finished with something cable. This is new to me because you haven't. This was no pre-show. Yeah. We're going live with this. Okay, go for it. Tell me about it.
No. So I just got back from 3 weeks in Curaçao, and of course I brought all of my adapters.
Yes.
And my chargers and various cables. I had my work laptop, my personal laptop, my Apple Watch, my wife's phone, my phone, all the things. But in the rental car, I had my RAV Power battery backup. But I also had a little cellular Wi-Fi hotspot.
Okay.
Product called Skyroam. And the Skyroam has a USB-C on it, like the RAV Power does to charge. And it's nice because you can actually replace the 18650s inside the Skyroam with any you want, like just pops off the back, which is very cool. So early in the trip, I was like, I should have a USB-C to Lightning cable in the car, just to use either of these devices to charge my phone because my iPhone 11 Pro's battery is not great and it needs to be replaced. So I'm trying to decide if I replace the battery or just upgrade to a 15 or whatever. But so we went down to go snorkeling and had a lovely snorkel. And I'm out there looking at cool fish. And I reach down onto the side of my leg on my swim trunks and I feel that USB-C to lightning cable is still in my pocket.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'm not going to use this cable anymore. So I had to throw it away. So it was sad.
Yeah. Well, sometimes we have to say goodbye to those. But cables are, we haven't done a cables episode in a while, but we should probably get back to that a little bit for sure.
Yeah. No, but it's just a reminder, like, you know, if like electronics and getting wet, it when you were talking about your pale blue solar panel with the covers over the USB, that's what made me think of it, because there was obviously no covers on this cable that was in my pocket. So
that's a good safety tip to all our listeners. You know, we hope you stay fully charged, or at least 80%. And don't forget, don't go swimming with your cables in your pocket. And with that, we hope you have a good week. Stay fully charged, at least 80%, and maybe stay dry, because there's been a lot of rain out there too.
Yeah, summer's coming though.
It is, and it should be good.
Yeah.
Take care.
Thanks for joining us.